Hello. You got to see my pores up close. So today for Relocate with Lori Robin, we are going to be moving. I don't know how, I don't know for how long, but I feel the extreme need to move. And actually, we'll talk about that at the end. I want to talk about the message on my shirt and why I'm even still wearing it. Because I've outgrown the shirt in a sense. But I think for now, we can just start finding any movement that feels good. I'm gonna loosen up my arms. Breathe some air into my sides. Exhale, bend forward. Alright, if you're not already, you can have your hands on your mat. Step back into a high plank. I like doing some calf stretches while here. You can pedal. Make sure you're breathing. Down dog. Find any movement here that feels good. High push-up. Lower your knees to tabletop. You can do some cat-cows. This is your first video. Cows when you sort of drop your back. Loosen up your shoulders, look upwards. On your next exhale, go into cat. We are arching your back. A few breaths here, in and out of your nose. Now at your own pace, you can go from cow to cat. Something I've been enjoying doing if you want to go to a kneeling position, if you're able. If not, you can do this while seated. Been liking to do what makes me think of the Titanic, but really just having an arch in your back. So arching your back and stretching your arms wide. Finding any movement. Your next inhale, go to one side. You might feel some sensations along your obliques, or you may not. To center, drop the other side. Center. Release your arms back down to tabletop. And now we're going to go back to child's pose. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can have your hands stacked on your mat and have your forehead resting on it, and then you can come up a little more instead of being all the way back on your heels. And if you're doing this, you can then switch your hands and have your other hand on top. At any time, you can come back to tabletop. And if you want, you can do some cat-cows. And when you feel like you've found enough movement there, hold your next cat. And see where you can release any tension. Maybe softening your face, and clenching your jaw, softening your shoulders. On your next exhale, go to cow. And where here can you find some release of tension? Ooh. I'm going to breathe into my neck some. For me, it's more comfortable to have my hands forward, but you can also have your hands back to your heels like this. The puppies are coming. Hello. Tabletop, you're gonna slowly swing your legs to one, hello honey, one side. You can swing them around. Oh, thank you. Honor your transitions, as my mentor, Felicia Savage Freeman says. Truly, is take as long as you need. We are on whatever time you need to be. What you are here for is what you'll get out of it, and that's just fine. Take a few deep breaths. Maybe you have an itch you'd like to scratch. Now we're going to think of the question that's weighing the heaviest on your heart. Oh, Teddy said, don't be sad, Mama. Say, I'm not. We're working through it. Oh, he does this. He trust falls and then get belly rubs. And now they're going to wrestle. So what question is weighing heaviest on your heart? And how can you think of the rhythms that you've been experiencing in life lately? What can those rhythms or flows tell you about what your needs are? Maybe there's ways you can play more. You know, maybe you have some furry friends or children around that can remind you the importance of playing. Oh, honey sees me in the camera. Oh, that's Hershey. I don't even know my own kid names. It's day 40,000 on quarantine. Oh, honey's breakdancing for everyone. Yeah, full show. So, perfect example, how can play and laughter give you enough space to really feel the weight of that question? Especially if you might have been receiving, maybe it feels like blow after blow, or a lot of challenges during this time, especially layered on with the complexities of the pandemic. How can giving yourself space to really feel what's coming up in your body allow you to process the weight of what's happening? And so sometimes when we play, create, exercise, just move our body and do more with our body and invite in room to hold the gravity of the tough things we're going through, and the fact that we can also hold room for joy and laughter and play. How can thinking of yourself as having that, almost like that balance or that scale, how can you find a way that feels centered for you? And so maybe with all the things happening, you feel really tipped one way. So all you're able to process right now are the challenging things. How can you yes and that? How can you acknowledge if that's how you're feeling, it's totally valid, and to just put words to it, know that that's what you're experiencing. Or maybe you're shoving everything down and acting like it's not there, and you're just having so much fun, but it might feel like hollow fun. It might feel like busy fun. And if that's, thank you Teddy, what you're experiencing, that's totally valid. How does that feel to be tipped the other way? Maybe the rest of this afternoon, or whatever you're watching this, the rest of your week, how can you open up to what it might feel like to have a little bit of both? Maybe we won't find a quote-unquote perfect balance. I don't think perfection exists, nor should it. But how can you find any movement, even if you're just about all the way to your extreme, maybe finding just a few degrees of movement, so to speak. What would that feel like? I'm really asking that because it's something I'm going through right now. There are a lot of family health things going on where it would be very easy for me because of quarantine and being like physically distant from the situation to be over here all the time. But then, having done that for years, I realized that there were a lot of things that I didn't really feel when they were happening. So this is my permission slip if you feel one might be needed to feel both shit and shine. You know, like how can you feel both of those? And they're both are equally valid, and everything in between is valid. What your body is registering and picking up is valid because it has real impact on your well-being. And so you might be experiencing a lot of gaslighting, of people bypassing your needs, of people saying that someone else has it worse, which we can't compare trauma, but at the same time we do need to hold space for those of us who have layered oppression and how this, like if this is your first experience with shock or trauma, it might feel intense in your body right now because it is new. How can you also hold space for the fact that there are countless marginalized groups, whether that is Black, Brown, Indigenous populations, religiously intolerated populations, depending on where they are, whether that is of gender inequity, whether that is having a really white supremacist patriarchal expectation of conformity, whether you are in the LGBTQIA population, whether you are in I had experience with this, a traumatic and very abusive relationship in the past, like whatever layers of oppression someone might be experiencing, how can you hold space for that? Because what happens is when you have these compounding systemic oppressions, what ends up happening is you get desensitized to it because of survival mode. So while everything you're experiencing is valid, how can you, again, it's that scale, that almost like a Slinky. How can you both understand that what you're experiencing is real and hold space for the fact that others may be experiencing where this doesn't seem like a shock, this pandemic meaning, as much of a shock because the past 15 years of their life have been feeling this exact way of not being safe when they go out, of being looked at and watched and monitored, of being at risk physically for their safety every time they leave their house, and now even when they're in their house. It is so important for us, if we're going to connect to humanity, to hold that room for both of those. So, this week, how can you find this Slinky? How can you, if you feel like you're the Tin Man and you're stuck in one way, what can you do to just find a little movement so that way you can even open up your energy, your body, your mind to the possibility of having a different outcome, a different reality. Right? And why I'm bringing this up after a light yoga practice and some breathing is because we are in a time where collective care and collective caring needs to be intentional. And it needs to be something where you understand the vulnerability of saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things, but understanding that getting that feedback is part of growing. And so, like, you might offer to get groceries for your neighbor and just put them on their door, but like not know they have allergies. Like things like that. How can you just make space for the fact that things might not go as planned, but still take those actions and efforts when and if you're able to have this collective care mentality. And even if not in a ranking sense, but if your first step is to think of how can you even have these conversations with yourself of what are your privileges? Is this your first systemic shock you're experiencing? How do you think it might be if you were experiencing these over time and this wasn't even on your radar? You know, like, just give yourself that room to consider the collective feelings because they're impacting you. And so my house is getting really warm. I realize I've been talking a lot. That's what came up, and I did want to share. Oh, and I said I'm going to talk about my shirt, so I will not really crab walk. I will scoot my way over here. So it just flipped backwards, but I found the shirt at Five and Below a few years ago, and it says fitish, semi-fit kind of fit. Someone who likes the idea of being fit and equally likes food. So when I got this, I got it really with the intention of like if I ended up wearing it at the gym and I got any looks about like, oh, that person, because this is what I've experienced is like overweight or, oh, they're not doing the exercise right or why are they even here? That it was defensive in the sense of me being like, look, I know that I'm not in shape, like quote unquote in shape. That way, no one was saying anything that I wasn't saying about myself. But now that I'm intuitively eating and really exploring more of the body positivity world, I'm realizing that this implies that one, food is bad, and two, exercise has to serve the purpose of giving you a certain aesthetic. Which now I firmly believe exercise is about treating your body to the movement that it desires, and it needs to be able to function in the way that you feel your physical best or able to live out the life you want. And food is our sense of nourishment, and oftentimes us with food-related trauma are really thinking of food as some way to have control over things when we don't feel we control other things. And so food becomes weaponized. And so why I'm still wearing this shirt is, well, one, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I don't really have, I'm choosing not to shop right now and to have additional like delivery drivers having to go out for extra packages in that regard. Also, it is wasteful to, the fabric, like the fashion industry has a lot of waste, so I'm trying to cut down on waste. And also right now it feels okay to wear because when I wear this every so often, it reminds me of the growth that I have. So it's not something that I'm wearing out in public, so to speak, because I do not want to contribute to a conversation that food is bad and bodies have to look a certain way. But now when I'm in my own space or sharing it out as a education moment or to have this conversation starter, it's really coming from a place of I know my evolution and what it has been so far to date. So yeah, that could be another thing to sit with too. Maybe you're on the Slinky scale of, oh, food is something I don't have a relationship with, or I have a very controlled, restrictive relationship with food. And then it can be, I don't exercise because I'm not fat. I hear that a lot. Or I exercise so much because I don't want to get fat. And of course there's other extremes that there can be, but how can you just first identify your accurate location, which is a term that I learned from the Soul Cycle anti-racism training, to really encapsulate an idea that I had thought of at different times and I heard other people speaking of, but their packaging of the term of accurate location really feels like it resonates. And that really, from my understanding and interpretation of it, is like, where and how and why are you actually, like in this very moment? Who are you? Where are you in life? Why are you in that situation? What does that feel like? All of those, who, what, where, when, why, how, descriptors, and then knowing your in the moment situation along those different parameters. I did not do a great job of explaining that, but that's okay. It's the first time I've tried. But yeah, so how can you pinpoint your accurate location on the topics of what you're experiencing right now during this pandemic, and whether you're feeling that or whether you're pushing it down, and just knowing where your baseline is, where you are right now, whether, again, you're feeling it so much that you feel like that's all you can feel, or not feeling it at all and stepping it down. And then once you know where you are right at this moment, what would it feel like to even entertain a slight nudge in the opposite direction? And then also with this conversation of food, exercise, fitness, where's your accurate location? Like, where are your beliefs at right now? Where are your practices at right now? And how can you invite that movement? And so, yes, the bears are letting me know that this is how they let me know it's time to go outside and play. Say, we've been in the house too long, so they're going to wrestle and be silly. Oh, do some break dancing. And I'm going to, okay, slide up to end this. But yeah, so this video took a slight different path where we started with some body movement, some breathing, and then went into having more of like what could be journal prompts. So if you stuck through this point, thank you very much. It may have gone a little other than expected, but that is kind of the point of improvising, is where life gives us moments to experience, and it may not be what we expect, but how do we then improvise our response? So you might be feeling like, oh, okay, these are topics I haven't thought of, or oh, I actually want to do more movement than what this offered, and now you know that. So again, how can you just have an intentional response or relationship to the experience you just happened? That way you're getting in the practice of doing this in the moment, experiencing and processing, and really feeling. So thank you. I'm going to let you look at how cute Teddy is for a moment, and I hope you have a really great rest of your day.